5:24 a.m. August 21st, 2017. The Singapore Strait. The USS John S. McCain, a billion-dollar Arleigh Burke destroyer fully crewed, fully armed, is making 20 knots through the busiest shipping lane on Earth. The captain is on the bridge. The helmsman has the wheel. Everything is normal. Then the captain presses 2 buttons on the wrong console. He doesn't tell the crew, but the steering was never lost. For 1 minute and 28 seconds, no one is steering the destroyer. The helmsman is turning a wheel that does nothing. The bridge is in confusion. Below deck, in a compartment called Berthing Five, 10 sailors are still asleep. They have 90 seconds left to live, and the steering of the USS John McCain is working perfectly. The USS John S. McCain is hull number DDG-56, Arleigh Burke class, Aegis combat system. Phased array radar that can track over 100 targets simultaneously. The destroyer is designed to defend a carrier strike group from ballistic missiles, submarines, and aircraft. It is, by any measure, one of the most capable surface combatants ever built. In August 2017, the McCain is operating with the 7th Fleet, the largest forward-deployed fleet in the United States Navy. Its area of responsibility covers more than 124 million square kilometers, from the international dateline to the India-Pakistan border. The 7th Fleet is the visible expression of American power in the Pacific. It is also exhausted. In the months before August 21st, every certification the McCain's crew was supposed to maintain had been allowed to lapse. Damage control, seamanship, navigation, bridge resource management. The Navy's own readiness reports flagged this. Nobody acted. The McCain was needed at sea, so she sailed. At 5:24 a.m., the McCain is approaching a sharp turn in the Singapore Strait, making her way toward port for a routine call. The captain is Commander Alfredo Sanchez. He has been in command for 6 weeks. The helmsman reports that he is having difficulty controlling both the ship's heading and its speed at the same time. This is not unusual when navigating in heavy traffic. Commander Sanchez decides to split the workload. He gives an order: transfer thrust control from the helm station to the lee helm station. The helmsman will keep steering. The lee helm sailor will manage the engines. It is a routine command. It should take 3 seconds. The lee helm sailor reaches for the touchscreen console. He taps the option labeled thrust control. But the system is configured to also transfer steering control along with thrust, unless a separate button is pressed to keep the 2 functions separated. Nobody on the bridge knows this. The console manual is in a binder in the navigator's office. The crew has not been trained on the system in over a year. Both thrust and steering jump to the lee helm. The helmsman is now turning a wheel that controls nothing. The lee helm sailor has the steering, but doesn't know it. He is staring at his thrust gauge, trying to match the captain's ordered speed. Nobody is steering the destroyer. The McCain begins to drift to port, to the left. Within 15 seconds, the helmsman feels something is wrong. He turns the wheel harder. The ship continues to slide left. He shouts, "Sir, I have lost steering," but the steering was never lost. Commander Sanchez orders the bridge to declare a casualty. He calls for the engineering watch. He calls for the chief engineer. The bridge floods with people trying to fix a problem that does not exist. The wheel is fine. The rudders are fine. The hydraulics are fine. The steering is just on a different console. Outside, in the pre-dawn darkness of the strait, a Liberian-flagged chemical tanker named LITAR-MC is making 12 knots in the opposite lane. She is 30,000 tons of steel and oil. Her bridge has been watching the McCain for several minutes. They have radio contact. They have radar. They have visual confirmation. And they are watching the destroyer turn directly into their path. The Alnic's master tries to slow down. He tries to turn. He has nowhere to go. The strait is narrow here, and a 3rd ship is on his other side. He can do nothing. At 5:24 a.m. and 43 seconds, the bow of the LITAR-MC strikes the USS John McCain on the port side, just below the waterline. The point of impact is directly underneath Berthing Five. Berthing Five is where 10 sailors live. It is a small compartment, 3 decks down on the port side. It has bunks for 15 men. Most of the sailors there had come off watch only hours earlier. They were asleep. The tanker's bow opens a hole 28 feet long and below the waterline. The sea enters in seconds. Berthing Five floods almost instantly. The watertight hatches are not closed. There had been no warning. Sailors who survived later described the water rising to the overhead in less than 90 seconds. Most of the men in the compartment were still in their bunks when the water reached them. They drowned in their sleep. Their names were Logan Palmer, Kenneth Smith, Charles Findley, John Hoagland, Timothy Eccles, Corey Ingram, Dustin Doyen, Abraham Lopez, Jacob Drake, Kevin Bushell. They were between 19 and 39 years old. Most were electronics technicians. None of them had time to react. The destroyer did not sink. The damage was contained. The ship limped into Singapore the next day, but 10 Americans had died, and the Navy had a problem it could not explain in public. In its first official statement, the Navy said the McCain had suffered a loss of steering control. That phrase appeared in press releases, congressional testimony, and the initial sailing directions advisory. It was repeated by every news outlet on Earth. It was not true. In March 2018, after a 7-month internal review, the Navy quietly released a report that admitted the truth. The steering had not failed. The console transfer had moved control to the lee helm. Nobody had pressed the button to separate steering from thrust. Nobody had been trained to. The investigation was led by Admiral Phil Davidson. His report identified more than a dozen contributing failures. Commander Sanchez had not properly briefed the crew before the maneuver. The watch team had not received required certification training. The integrated bridge system had been redesigned in 2014 with a default setting that no one on board understood, and the 7th Fleet had been pushing crews far beyond what their training cycles allowed. Commander Sanchez was relieved of command. He was charged with negligent homicide. The charges were later reduced. He pleaded guilty to dereliction of duty. That was the public version. A year and a half later, in February 2019, 2 reporters from ProPublica named Megan Rose and T. Christian Miller published a multi-part investigation called Death and Disgrace at Sea. They had spent 18 months reading thousands of pages of internal Navy documents. What they found made the official version look like a cover sheet. The McCain collision was not an isolated event. It was the second of 2 destroyer collisions in the Pacific that year. 2 months earlier, in June 2017, the USS Fitzgerald had been struck by a container ship off the coast of Japan. 7 sailors died. The Navy publicly described that one as a navigation error. ProPublica obtained the classified investigation reports for both collisions. They showed the same pattern: crews exhausted to the point of hallucination, maintenance backlogs in the thousands, certifications expired for years, senior officers warning their commanders that ships were unsafe and being told to sail anyway. The reports also showed something the Navy had never said publicly. In the year before the McCain collision, the 7th Fleet's training office had specifically requested funds to retrain crews on the integrated bridge system. The request had been denied twice. The Navy had known, the Navy had been warned, the Navy had buried it. After ProPublica published, the Pacific Fleet Commander was relieved. The 7th Fleet Commander was relieved. The Naval Surface Force Commander was relieved. 3 admirals lost their stars in 3 weeks. 17 sailors had died in 2017. 10 on the McCain, 7 on the Fitzgerald. None of them died because the ships failed. They died because nobody had pressed a button. The USS John S. McCain returned to service in 2020 after 3 years and $367 million of repairs. She continues to operate in the Pacific today. The integrated bridge software was updated. Crews are now trained on the console transfer procedures. The default setting has been changed. But the central fact of the disaster remains the same. The steering of the McCain was never lost. It was working perfectly the entire time. The system did not fail. The men did not fail. What failed was the assumption that you can take a crew training, send them to sea exhausted, and expect them to operate a billion-dollar warship in the busiest shipping lane on Earth without the muscle memory required to press one extra button. The McCain didn't sink because she was unlucky. She nearly sank because the United States Navy had spent years proving to itself, in classified reports it then hid, that something exactly like this was about to happen. The button was always there. Nobody had told them which one to press.